This is the Night Owls Disc Golf Podcast. I'm Shane.
And I'm JP.
And we are a Disc Golf Answer Man Network podcast. Head on over to Disc Golf Answer Man. You can find them on any podcasting platform. Check them out, subscribe, like, share, do the same for us. So JP, let's start it out with, what did you buy this week?
Yeah, so I used my gift card that my basketball kids had got me as like a thank you. And I got one of the Z Flex Glow Buzzes.
Mm-hmm. Which is a leadstone.
Leadstone drop. Yeah, Wave 2 drop. And I also got a Z Glow Zone.
Nice.
Yeah. And the Z Flex glows really well. And I got a purple Z Glow, and it does not glow so well.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's just a different colored plastic that makes
Probably.
it?
It was a purple, and so it glowed kind of like a white red, but the glow is really dull, which I was disappointed in.
That is. Because especially with some of the glow plastics that are coming out, man, they're awesome.
Yeah.
They're getting better and better.
Yeah. I was really impressed with the glow buzz. I was like, oh, this is nice.
Mm-hmm. And you add a little color and it dulls it.
Yeah.
So?
Yeah, that's all I got.
Throw it, hang it, flip it.
It's gonna sit in one of my bins for a little bit before I probably throw. I'm probably a hanger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hangish.
Yeah, I don't know if I like more stable. I don't know how stable the Z Flex buzz will be. So
okay.
It'll be just. Oh, and then so what did I get? I got something from Infinite. I forgot what I purchased.
You know how you have a problem?
You don't remember what you bought?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, but so this so I got a bonus disc. You can like add on a bonus disc for like $12 or something. So in my bonus disc was this disc called an X. It's the company's XCOM, and the disc is called a Zion. The plastic, it was like a U. Like that's all I know it is U Zion. It's like a Lucid or a Z plastic.
Sure.
But super duper flexible. Like even the rim, you could bend it more than any other disc.
Really?
Yeah. I was so shocked. And I showed Cam, I brought it into the shop. I was like, you need to check this disc out. And he's like, whoa, this is like the plastic feels good and everything. But just the amount of flex to the disc was ridiculous.
Like elevation flex or?
No, not crazy like that. But just
like
more,
some of the real soft flex.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know who has discs like that I just recently experienced them for the first time, and they ironically reached out to me as an influencer to say, hey, I want you to start, pushing our discs a little bit. And I was like, well, I actually own a shop. And he's like, well, let's get them in your shop, but Lone Star out of Texas.
I've just kind of recently heard about them as well.
Mm-hmm. And I got to feel a couple of their discs out there in Vegas. And they're the same way. They have this super flexy.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
Like
I love
premium
fluid.
plastic, though?
Premium plastic, yeah. It's like a Champ type-ish plastic.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was. It was a fairway driver.
Okay.
It had numbers pretty similar to like a Firebird. Didn't get to throw it. I just got to feel it. So
interesting.
Yeah. But I like that because I'm a fluid or flex or I like those type of discs. But up here in Wisconsin, we can get away with that.
Yeah.
Down in the South, maybe not. Okay, so while I was down in Vegas, I bought a Wraith and a Halo Wraith.
Oh.
Because my arm was just jello.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot of golf coming off of nothing, and then you go in and you're just throwing full power, shot after shot.
So did you throw? Was it the other Wraith you got besides the Halo? Was it Champ? Was it
Champ.
Star? Yeah,
just a 173 Champ and then a 173 Halo.
And was that a Girthy?
It was a GG, double G. In last year's, not this year's.
Oh, okay.
And it was
still beefy.
Beefcake.
Yeah.
Like, and the Champ was workable, but it was still beefy.
Wow.
And I'm like, man, I used to throw these things everywhere, and I would have to control the angle. And so either Wraiths are more beefy now, or I just can't throw like that anymore. Cool. Because I was out throwing the ballistas, and and I had 2 days where my arm was alive and I could throw them again. And outside of that, I mean, I was like 350,
Okay.
400 max. I mean, like great distance was 400 this past weekend. And so, anyways, I went out and bought those just to see if I could lower my speed and I could get them up to speed a little quicker.
Sure.
And nope. I took them out and threw them like probably 10 times each.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even get them to stand up, either of them. It was crazy. So there was a couple S lines and Pro lines. They were Star and Pro
Yeah.
in there that I probably should have grabbed one of those instead of the Champ, but it is what it is.
Yep.
But that's what I got, and those will probably be. I don't sell anything. I was gonna say I'll probably flip them, but the Halo, Gary Girthy Halo, I'll throw it on my rack, and so I guess we'll call that a hanger.
Yeah.
And then the Champ will probably be a thrower.
Okay.
I'll probably mess around with it, and then also I bought green wheels and green seat cover for my Zuka Compact because I missed the Ulibarri drop.
Yeah, I heard there's not
There's only 100 of them.
Yeah.
And I saw it and forgot who it was. I think it was in one of our group chats or something. Someone sent it. No, Jordan.
Jordan mentioned.
Yeah, Jordan mentioned it in our group chats. And I was like, what? And I jumped right on immediately. They were gone already.
Yeah, because you could get that along with the Captain's Raptor. It was like a bundle. And yeah, they sold out quick.
Yeah.
And I think there was a store out, I think somewhere out in Vegas actually was selling them as well, that they went rather quickly.
I think they did a quick thing at Lucky.
Yeah.
Because I even told Jordan, if you can get the Yuli Raptor, the Yuli Zuka, because I bought a little compact that we're going to leave in Vegas. And I left it in Vegas, but I love that thing. Like I run the Trekker now. It holds just as many discs as the Trekker. And with this little shelf thing they have, Jordan doesn't have. Is Jordan that has it? Yeah, Jordan has a compact.
Yep.
And he doesn't have the shelf in it. And I didn't have the shelf in that one.
Oh.
But I saw it lifts it up and you actually put discs underneath.
That's what Yuli does. Yeah, he's got he stacks them up and then I think he layers them above each other, which you probably shouldn't do, because of pressure. But yeah.
But yeah,
you can
no,
fit
it works. And with that, you can put almost 30 discs in that.
Yeah, that's
that little
crazy.
tiny thing.
And the putter pouch and pockets and stuff on the side. Yeah.
And I ran into the infinite. I don't know what they're called, but there's like a large, extra large, and XXL, but they're putter pouches. And the XXL is like a bag.
Really?
It's like putting a disc bag on the back. It's awesome.
Oh my God.
So I think I'm going to switch to the small, well, they call it the large one, which is only 4 pockets.
Yeah.
Instead of the regular Zuka ones, like the tool pouches. So
Yeah.
I bought those, so those will end up being throwers.
Cool.
I guess, or rollers, rather.
Yeah.
So I guess let's just jump right into it. We'll get right into LVC because it happened.
Yes.
I was there and had a ton of fun. So I want to talk about more of the, not my experience yet. We'll get into that, but we'll just talk about, in general, what we thought of the Disc Golf Pro Tour and how they handled things and some of the new features. And then I'll talk about on grounds what they did to change it. So I've gone 6 years in a row just for reference sake and just to see what differences there are. And then we'll also talk a little about the Jomez deal. And we'll talk also Gatekeeper and GK. We'll talk about specifics in the tournament as far as like Matty O, Nathan Queen, some of those things that went on. And then we'll give some shop updates. And I think that might be about it. So this will cover a good amount of time.
Sure.
All right. So first thing I want to mention is the drone.
Okay.
I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah. So live coverage, they would cut back and forth to a drone shot. And it was, so I was there, I saw it. It'd probably be about, I don't know, 90, 100 feet up.
Yeah.
80 to 100 feet up. So you couldn't really hear it. I mean, with everything, commotion going on, everything like that. So it wasn't distracting. But they did an absolutely awesome job cutting back and forth. I thought it was used really, really heavily in the first round. And then they slowly pulled it back a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't notice as much in the later rounds, like round 3 and 4. I definitely didn't see. I don't think I saw it at all. Was it?
Yeah, it was there for the live coverage for
Okay.
some of it. And I thought it was good. It was well done as they started to use it sparingly. I mean, I thought it was well done even when they were using it a ton. But I feel like they used that as their cut. So if there was a little bit of lag time after, they had teed off and they got that walk. They go
Yeah.
straight to the drone coverage.
Sure.
And then they started filling in with other stories, other cards, that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the coverage was fantastic.
Yeah, I was at work for most of the coverage during the day, so I didn't get to see too much of it. I just kind of I would get home later in the afternoon and just kind of turn it on. I watched a little more of it on Sunday. I watched more of the final rounds because like my family was out of town, so I had a little bit more
Great
TV time than I normally get. So, but then I watched a lot of the post-produced.
Yeah.
So-
Well, and let's talk about Disc Golf Pro Tour or the Disc Golf Network going down.
First day. Unbelievable.
I love the move they made where they're just like, forget it, put it out on YouTube. Like,
Right.
and it was all free the first day. It was
Yep.
great.
That's awesome.
And I think that's good. And so I want to talk about this real quick. It's tangent because we didn't even discuss about talking about this, but why do they leave the final round free and then the first three you got to pay for? Who cares about the first three? I mean, really, who cares about the first three? You care about the last round, the final round, right?
Right.
In any tournament. Mm-hmm. I think their model's backwards. Like, why are they exposing the best and most?
Well, because I think if you're more of a casual fan and like they want that exposure to be able for people to get the wider exposure to make it free. That way everybody can watch it and be like, hey, this is disc golf. Whereas if the first three rounds, you're kind of blocking out for diehard fans.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, because I pay for it.
Yeah, I do too.
So I'm being completely hypocritical. But I would much rather pay for the conclusion than the beginning. Because you build that story, and then all of a sudden you have the final matchup.
Sure.
And in the first day, I think you're still going to be able to give people, especially not diehard disc golfers, you can still give that experience because they always have the feature card. They always have a couple feature cards, both men and women. So you're going to see the best at the tournament or the most popular at the tournament play all on the same card. That's not guaranteed to happen the last day.
Okay, but the first day, like you didn't get to see Katrina on feature card or lead card because it was done by PDGA number. So you saw Kristen, you saw Evelina, Henna, and Paige together. Katrina, recent world champ, got the boot, which world champ, you're getting the boot on the first day. Like that's a fail in my
It does seem weird because it wasn't done in the MPO that way. So are you sure it was done that way? Because the MPO, they had the lead card and then they had the feature card, or they had two feature cards basically.
Or maybe it wasn't PDG, or was it rating?
Yeah, maybe it was rating.
Maybe it was rating. Maybe that's what it was. The top rated. Yeah. Maybe that's what I got flipped around. I think it was by rating.
Yeah. So I guess I could see that. But so they did it they tried to do it because they didn't do any of the voting this year. Like they had it done last year.
Yeah.
Which is I like that. So, but yeah, so I mean, I thought the coverage was phenomenal. Like I don't have anything bad to say about it. Yes, I can pick little things here and there, like some of the cuts when they would cut to a camera and the camera would be off in the sky, things like that. Yeah. I think it's just getting everybody's nerves back.
Right. First tournament back.
Yep. And I don't know if you saw on Twitter, it was a tweet I saw, and they posted it on Facebook, but the largest concurrent viewer group ever.
I saw that.
Golf.
Yeah.
And it was huge. It was, what was it, like 80-some thousand or something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah, it was in the, so.
I thought it was like 87,000 or something like that. Yeah.
And that's huge.
That's crazy.
And that was just MPO. FPO had a separate one, and it was also the largest that had ever happened. So MPO, they didn't quite beat Worlds. But FPO, it was the largest they'd ever seen. So, and that's fantastic. Because I think, you think, when were they releasing the numbers? Maybe like 2 years ago, they were getting like 6,000 or 7,000 concurrent viewers, and now they're in like the 80 or 90.
Right.
That's awesome. So, good things. Commentary. This is a dead horse, but I liked it. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I liked it.
I always like listening to Ian and Philo, even when they were doing stuff for Central Coast, like together. I think they're a good tandem. I would have you know, we heard earlier that Brian Earhart would have a role
Right.
with, you know, with DGPT, and I was hoping he would have made the, you know, come on for this, you know, to get him going.
I didn't see him out there at all.
No, I didn't either. And then Terry was, you know, the man on the ground. He's always good filling in, you know, giving us scoops. And I thought Elaine King did a solid job.
Yeah.
And I kind of liked her. I kind of like her more than Val.
That's funny because I feel a bit different. I like Val more than Elaine, but I think Elaine will work into being my favorite quicker because I think Elaine has been away from the sport long enough that she's so amazed by the throws these girls have.
Right.
Like that excitement of, did you see how far that was? You know?
Yeah, yeah.
And like, that's awesome. But these girls have been throwing like that for,
That's true.
or these ladies, I'm sorry, have been throwing like that for years
Right.
now. You know, like,
It'd be nice to see. It was brought up before, but you know, get Hannah back in the mix a little bit.
Yes.
I know Christine Jennings fills in on like Silver Series events if she was out here playing. So it'll be interesting to see who fills in during what events on tour.
yeah, I agree with the Hannah Macbeth thing. I think,
She does her research. Like
Yeah.
she has good relationships with a lot of the players on tour, so she knows idiosyncrasies, you know, the
Yeah.
tendencies and things.
and if Ian continues to be on the mic, I think Ian does a very good job being either the color or the facts, you know,
Yep.
I mean, or the play-by-play. And I think Hannah is probably going to be a bit better at the play-by-play because of how she does her research. Like she knows it very well. She's going to be very to the facts in the book, and Ian can add the color. Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I have no hard stance one way or the other. I do and do not like the disc naming. Like there's sometimes I'm like, it's awesome. And there's other times where I'm like, okay, I've heard that disc 7 times. I know what that, whatever it is, you know, like I know exactly what it is. But it also brings to light, like, what was the one that Gannon and
The distortion. Yeah.
I had no clue.
Right.
Prodigy named their discs.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. Because someone else had brought it up in a Prodigy group on Facebook. They're like, "What is this disc that they're throwing?" And they're like, "It's some new." You know, someone's like, "Oh, it's a new disc that hasn't been released yet." I have no idea if it was a mid-range or a driver or what it really was. But
I think it was an overstable approach,
Okay.
right? Because
Yeah.
that was the one he threw OB on 18.
oh yeah,
So
yes,
yeah. So I think it was an overstable approach, so harpish, you know, PA3, something like that.
sure,
I don't know what it was. I just know it was called a distortion.
yeah,
And then, you know, and also I think it brings to light for us knowing discs that when he says he just threw that D1 and it flipped up, turned to the right, and came back, what? Like, that's a disc you can throw a D1 that it does that? You know, for us, never be able to make that disc
super
do it.
beefy,
Exactly.
yeah, stupid, overstable.
So, I mean, it brings to light some of that stuff, but, you know, I would also be completely fine on the other side of the argument where people say overstable driver, understable driver, you know, approach, a putter, a mid-range, you know, just using vague terms. I'm fine with that too.
Sure.
Because I think where Ian runs into a few things was, I think it was like, he was saying, was it Haley King?
Yes, Haley King.
With
He's
the
like,
zone.
With the zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously a gator or something like that.
Yeah, and Elaine's like, I don't think she throws at Brandon
Yeah.
anymore. He's
Yes.
like, oh, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's, you know, that's some of that stuff. And I think shaking the spider webs off.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's been the off season. Everybody's been taking their time. A lot of switches have happened.
Yeah.
But that's a big miss.
It is.
That's a real big miss. Let's talk about the Europeans.
Yeah.
They're back.
Yeah. Back.
So we actually got to play, not with, but just the card ahead of Kristen Sitar and Silver Lat. And they were basically playing right behind us, and every tee pad we'd BS with them and stuff.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
How did that work out?
During practice, the first days were...
Oh, practice days.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So if you got there between... before 9 o'clock. So I won't get into this yet. I'll explain it later. Sure. But so I'm not going to lie. I feel like they were overhyped compared to their performance.
Yeah.
Aside from Kristen.
Right. I mean, Evelina fell off, and then she kind of made a bit of a comeback final round. Henna completely...
She didn't even make the cut?
No. Yeah, I think she finished -1 for the tournament.
And she's the second highest rated female
FPO
player, or third?
Yeah.
She's in the top 3 or 4.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean...
She didn't even make the cut.
No.
So
yeah, because she was Evelina's caddy final round. And then, Kristen played decent enough to be on lead card, the whole tournament. Same thing with, I think Evelina fell off second round. She dipped off a little bit, then came back. But yeah, I mean, a little bit overhyped. I mean, it was good to see them.
Yeah.
But they just didn't have the impact. I mean, Kristen was within a couple strokes of Kat at the end. But, I mean, she really wasn't pushing Kat that hard. And then, men, Seppo showed up and he had a good maybe 2 rounds and then he fell off.
Yeah, because you didn't see Albert anywhere.
I think like Linus Carlson, he got mentioned maybe a couple times where I saw he was up there for a little bit and he dropped off.
And he was on the feature card.
Oh, that's right.
He was on one of the feature cards. So he got
Albert Tom, never really saw him too much, so.
Yeah, I have some awesome stories about Albert Tom, by the way.
Yeah.
You'll like it.
Cool.
He's a big dude, by the way.
Yeah.
He's huge.
I saw him on a OTB skins match, and he was towering over people.
Yeah. He's and he's not just tall. Like, he's not the Heimberg or Gilbert.
Yeah.
Like, he's big all around. Like, just like tree trunks and like, I mean, he's an impressive dude. So after really getting excited about that, so I felt like the Europeans were really overhyped. The only one that really lived up to expectation was Tatar. Outside of that, and it's the first tournament. They just got here. I mean, like when we were talking to Lat and Tatar, they had like just flown in that night. I mean, that morning, basically. He said, yeah, we got in at like midnight. They went to bed for a couple hours and came straight to the course.
Dang.
Like just that quick.
Yeah.
And like I'm looking at him like, man, that is crazy. He goes, yeah, but we got to get our practice in.
Right.
And I think this was Saturday prior to the week of.
Oh, sure.
And they were out there just learning the courses. And when he got there, he's like, oh, yeah, we got to make sure we learn these 2 courses. And I go, well, there's 3. And he goes like, there's 3? And I go, yeah, there's 3. And he goes, whoa. And we were playing on Factory Store. I hate the names of them. We were playing on the shortest course.
Okay.
Which I think is Factory Store.
I think so.
And no, excuse me, it's Infinite. So we were playing on Infinite. And he goes, yeah, this one is, seems to be pretty long. And I go, this is actually the shortest course. I was like, we have a 9,000 footer and almost a 10,000 footer. And he's like, really? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, Innova is the second longest. And then you get to Factory Store, and that's the longest by about 1,000 feet. And, we were just BSing about it, but super kind guy. I've never met him before, never met Tatar before, but they were just super happy to talk. And Jordan was able to actually talk with her without mumbling and stumbling all over his words. So I was super proud of him. He said he threw a grace. It was actually one of her signature graces.
Yeah.
He threw it and it was absolutely laced. Like it was thrown far, good skip, And he turns around and he goes, that's your disc. And she goes, oh, awesome. And he was like, he bounced over to me and he was like, I said it without mumbling. It was really funny.
Oh, that's funny.
So for all the hype, all the talk, everything that was said about him coming over and dominating, and Paige and Katrina wouldn't be a factor as much as they are anymore, and it would add more, what do they call it, dichotomy or whatever. It didn't happen.
Right.
It didn't happen. Tatar kept a presence, kept a pressure, but she was really never in it. I mean, she was in it. Let's not say she wasn't in it. She was in it, but she was never a factor.
Yeah.
And Paige really wasn't either.
No.
The first. I mean, nobody was after the first round with Katrina.
Katrina had the hot second round.
Was it the second round that she?
Yeah.
Yeah, she threw up she was 8 or 6 above everybody.
Yeah, 6 or 7 above everybody. And then the third round, Paige finally caught up to her. Mm-hmm. And it was tied. And then, we'll get into
that. We'll get into that. So, all right. So Matty O had an explosion and wasn't even there. So,
Yeah, appendicitis.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, he went in, like, he felt something wasn't right. And then apparently, from what I heard, I think he went home and, like, something happened. Or maybe, yeah, I don't know. He just said, like, even after, like, whatever had happened, like, after the appendicitis, he got home and, like, things still weren't feeling weird. But from what I've heard, recovery is, like, a couple, like, maybe, like, 4 weeks.
Because his actually burst, from what I understand, right?
Yeah, I think that's what I had heard.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
From what I understand, it's super painful.
I've only heard of that happening to, like, one other person that, like, I actually know. And at the time, they were over in, like, Spain or Europe when it happened.
Oh, no.
They were on a class trip. And this happened, and she had to stay behind. And, like, everybody came, or I think maybe a couple people stayed there with her, and, like, most of the class came back.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
That would be a scary situation.
Yeah.
Man, that would be scary. But fortunately, Matteo was here.
Yeah,
He was able to get it taken care of. But
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's sad not to see him because I was really hoping to see him out there and see his color, see his personality, and then also see what he's going to do with these discs.
Yeah.
Nathan Queen. So Nathan Queen dropped out as well.
Yeah, he started the tournament, but I think he ended up with a leg injury.
That's what it sounded like, a hamstring or a quad injury or something like that.
So yeah, he had to drop out. He did some commentary on a Gatekeeper.
Okay.
So I heard him a little bit. I don't remember if he talked to it because I kind of fell asleep while watching it. It was a long day.
There was so much coverage.
There really was.
Yeah, because when we were done playing, we went directly home and started watching coverage. So we'd watch like 4 or 5 hours worth of coverage as soon as we got home, and we still didn't get it all in.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Fantastic. That's great.
I tried to watch some of the chase card stuff because, like Ricky kind of like was moving. Calvin was on the chase card and he was moving. Mm-hmm. He moved up after like his terrible round. And there was just a lot. Kevin Jones, Luke Humphreys, like all those guys were just playing well.
Yep. And then Natalie Bryan, we'll talk about her. She is the openly transgender and completely all about it. That's not the discussion I want to have.
Right.
The discussion I want to have is how dominant she was.
She played well.
Absolutely. Played awesome.
They kind of moved some cameras over to watch her for a little while because she was playing so well. They cut in to see what she was up to.
Yeah. And I think that's part of that coverage that was just awesome. Like she's blowing up. They finally have the cameras to push over to.
Right.
The thing that I want to talk about is so she hurt her like glute or hamstring or quad, but it was some strain. So she dropped out and you could tell her play, she completely fell off. So the only thing I want to talk about is her post that addressed it on, because I was trying to figure out like, where'd she go? Like what happened to her? Because I know it was going to be a big deal.
Yeah, and I was looking at scores and everything. She just dropped off.
Right. Yeah, so I figured, it'd be a pretty pivotal moment in the PDGA if she would have won. So I was like, man, I want to see this because I just want to see what's going to happen with this. Because good or bad, it was going to make some waves.
About. Yep.
Exactly. So I jumped on Instagram, looked her up, and started looking at her post. And I was slightly disappointed with her post.
Oh, really?
So she says, hey, I had to drop out for X, Y, and Z. It stinks, but it happens. And the very next line, and F all you, like she went on to like cuss out people that were, I guess, trashing her.
Oh, wow.
And I'm just like, man, you're putting yourself in front of, and I'm going to air quotes the big screen because it's disc golf. It's a very small community, but you're still putting yourself out there. And it's just like Kona. Kona, from what I understand, I heard that she had deleted both of her social media apps off of her phone while she was out there.
Oh, wow.
Because she wasn't playing well, and I guess she was getting some flack for it. Like, you gotta, put your adult pants on and understand that's what you're going to get. You're going to have haters, and you're going to have, and she's different. I can't speak on Natalie Ryan, the transgender thing. That's not who I am. I can't speak on how she feels, but I can speak on how she addressed it. And I don't think it was good, to just basically F off.
It doesn't help it's probably not what your sponsors want to see.
No, no, it's just not a great image. Like, keep the positivity out there, all that stuff. And this is my judgment coming from the outside looking in. Like, I was like, that sucks. Like, why
Yeah.
would you leave it like that? Because
It
I was
sucks that-
super excited to see all this, and then
It sucks for people to have to make those comments too.
It does.
So I mean,
Yeah.
you're dealing with that, and yeah, just people are mean. You know, that's just what
right,
it.
right, and it's that fire with fire. Once again, I cannot say whether it was the right thing to do or not. It just tickled me the wrong way.
Yeah. In her eyes, it's what she felt like she needed to do.
Right. So, all right, and I think outside of that, we'll start talking about LVC in general. So, like I mentioned, I'm sure you've heard it quite a bit. I've been there for 6 years. So, this year was by far the most professional LVC I've ever been to. I'll start with some of the changes. So before, they gave you player badges, they gave you caddy badges, they did all that stuff. As soon as they gave them to you, it didn't matter where they went.
Yeah.
Parking badges, same thing. Didn't matter where they went because they really weren't ever utilized. They would section off areas. They would suggest when you should practice areas. They would give spectator areas, and I'll throw up the air codes by spectator areas, but nothing was ever enforced or done to help that.
Interesting.
This truly felt like you were something special as a player.
Yeah.
So you walked in and never had barricades along the road, so people could just drive in, jump out of their car, walk right up to the course, wherever they'd walk out. And some of those courses are right on the edge, and they could walk right into the line of play. There was barricades all the way down the lines, like tasteful barricades.
Sure.
They weren't like big concrete barricades. They were, like crowd control barricades. All the way down the road, blocking off the courses. And they funneled everybody into the front where Wild Horses clubhouse is.
Okay.
And they had 2 people standing there at all times. Let me see your badge. Let me see your badge. Let me see your badge. Turning people away.
Yeah.
And if spectators wanted to come in, they would funnel them into the place where they could buy the spectators passes and go. Monday was open play. No, excuse me. Before 9:30, every day was open play. You could choose any course you wanted to play. But other than that, to help people, because it was chaos whenever you'd go to practice. Like, you would just pick the least congested course and go play that when you went to practice. Or you would skip ahead about 8 holes, find an opening, jump in.
Yeah.
That was commonplace. And now, each division could only play 1 course on practice days.
Oh, wow.
So they said, okay, all the AMs are here.
Yeah.
All the age protecteds are here. All the pros are here. And I thought that was fantastic because the flow was awesome. You got through it in a reasonable amount of time, and you got to see the holes along with the people you're playing with. I thought it was pretty cool. Downside of that, you don't get those random interactions with pros that you normally do. Good and bad. For the pros, probably pretty good.
Right. You're not having to deal with people constantly coming up to you, talking to you, taking your focus off of practice.
Yeah. So I think that helps. I mean, all of my fans, they couldn't get to me and play with me. So, but I can understand the other direction too. That's what made disc golf special, was the accessibilities of pros. And maybe it's time. Maybe it's time that doesn't happen anymore. So, outside of that, everything else was just kept to a great standard. Like, the vendors there, the driving range was actually roped off so you couldn't go and bug people. Only players could go into the driving range and putting fields. They just did a really good job. It felt special. It felt exclusive. It felt like you were actually a professional athlete performing.
That's cool.
And that's awesome.
Yeah.
It felt really good. So cameras, drones, platforms, the way they had everything set up for the media. I mean, it was all awesome. Great. So, so I thought LVC was great. I thought Disc Golf Pro Tour did an awesome job. The spectators weren't as many as they had been in the past. And I think it has to do a lot with how they segmented players compared to, because basically most of the players were the spectators last year. And the way they limited some of the stuff was a little weird. And signs everywhere, no live videos, no Like you couldn't do any of that stuff. So, and I don't know how I didn't push the envelope as far as like recording and making videos and stuff like that. I just,
Yeah.
every once in a while we'd take a video of a tee shot or do something like that.
There was something that came up. What was it? There was a guy from MVP who had shot a video, and Innova used that. Oh no, that was the Olympic thing.
Oh, okay.
Right, like someone had taken a video and then Innova like took it from him or something. Didn't give him credit. So that was something. That was something different. But that happened while you were gone.
Right.
So yeah, that was something different. I was thinking of.
Yeah.
But,
Well, in the caddy book, it lays out the media usage, and if you don't spend the $5,000, and I think even if you do spend the $5,000, everything that is recorded on site, I think I've said this already, but everything that is recorded on site was technically property of LVC and Innova because they rent a private property. And I thought that was a little goofy, but I didn't see any big issues with it.
Sure.
I mean, like Eric McCabe was out there taking pictures. I don't know if you paid the media pass or not, but I ran into him and he was out there taking pictures of players. And because he was, no, it was when we crossed. There's two areas where it crosses where I saw him. And then you see him in coverage every once in a while. He was following somebody and you'd see him pop up randomly here and there. But I thought it was really good, like I said. And then the changes they made to the course made the courses more difficult, but also more tackable. So, we have up on the screen right now all of the scores, and there was a ton of blue.
Yeah.
I mean, a ton of blue on the screen, which means birdie or eagle or better.
Yeah.
It's more blue than it is white, which is par, or yellow. So it shows you that either the people are getting really, really good or these courses are easier.
Yeah.
Or getting easier.
Yeah. And there's a couple different pin locations, a couple different basket locations, and quite a few tee pad changes.
Yes, there were.
Yeah.
There were.
And even then, like people are still scoring well.
And par changes. I mean, and for instance, like Innova, they supposedly made it 2 strokes harder by taking away the par 5 and making it a par 4, the 888 foot.
Yep.
And making it a par 4. And then there was a couple pin changes and tee placements and tee changes or tee box changes. I have never shot better there. I shot almost 1,000 rated round.
Oh, wow.
And I was still 4th card.
Yeah.
And it's like, it was incredible. Like, but there was a lot of people knotted up at that even to 1 under in my division, MP40. And it was the same thing with this. There wasn't a ton of score separation. So I think it's just too attackable. It's not forcing people to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And on our, brother podcast on DGAM, Eric Oakley said that he hated 18s. It was a poor
design.
I disagree vehemently because
I did too.
That's what creates the score separation. Now, pros will probably say, shut your mouth because you didn't play it and you don't play with us. You don't understand how it is. But in my humble opinion, you practiced it. You saw it. Everybody plays the same hole.
Yes.
You can prepare for it. You got to know that you got to lay that up short. You can't run it or else you're going OB.
I think Gannon did try to kind of play it short. It got a weird hop and then slid out the back. But like you're saying, course, everybody's playing the same course. It's all the same conditions. It's been played that way for years.
Yeah, I think 3 years that pin has been in that position.
And so, like, I knew it was out of bounds, but you couldn't see the line. Like, the line was buried kind of under some wood chips, and, like, it just slid onto those rocks in the back. I was like, oh, no.
And the camera doesn't do justice of how flat the top of that hill is.
Yeah.
So there's actually a pretty large flat area. And when I say pretty large, probably 6-8 feet of flat. And he landed on the flat.
Right.
If he would have landed on the front side of the hill, he probably would have took a nice little skip, settled right next to the basket. But he threw it a foot too far. And it was not a bad throw, but it was
unlucky.
It was a misplaced throw.
Yeah, it was.
He didn't play. I mean, he could have played to the front of the hill, and those are easy putts.
Especially with the way he was putting.
Exactly. It was an easy putt for me, and but if I'm sitting almost even in the bowl, I'm running that because it's a nose up floaty putter. You know, I mean, he putts a lot differently than me.
Yeah.
But it's nose up the whole way. So the likelihood of you going 18, 19 feet past a basket is pretty slim even if you airball it. So yeah, for Gannon, I mean, it was just an errant throw by a tiny margin.
Yeah.
But that's the name of the game.
It is.
I think that's the stuff we need more of, not less of, in my humble opinion. So overall, I thought LVC was fantastic. Coverage abundant. We got the round free for the first ones, but for all PDJ members, I think it was free anyways, this first one.
I think I think I saw that anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. So which is nice, but
Yeah.
it was free for everybody. It
was
highest
just-
views.
Yeah. It was funny too because it wasn't it wasn't the Pro Tour's fault. It was like the server, and this like affected a lot of other things, not just the Pro Tour.
Right.
So that's why they ended up having to move it.
Yeah, it wasn't anything. But they made that switch right away.
Yeah.
You know, and business wise, like I looked at it and I was like, awesome choice.
Yeah.
Like just get it out there because you're gonna get your views, you're gonna get your money. And for you, especially if you're giving it away for free, don't fret. Just throw it out on YouTube.
Right.
Like,
You're still gonna get your money from YouTube.
exactly. And yeah, the views from, especially when it's 80,000 concurrent viewers.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't looked up YouTube what that
Translates to.
Yeah. Or even how many views total on that video now. Like, I bet you it's a ton. I bet you they're over 100,000.
I would think so.
And that's huge for being only a week out
Yeah.
for disc golf. So, so I have just a few stories that I want to say. I've already kind of given the Jordan one about with him and Kristen Tatar. Super.
I thought maybe if you saw Maria Oliva, he'd be like,
Yeah. I think he saw her from a distance. He's like, that's my girl. You know? And it's not like pervy or anything like that. It's just a funny haha. Okay. So between 7 and 8 on Innova. So you know where Garrett Gerthy got his ace.
Yep.
The top of that hill. So we were there Saturday. No, it was this Sunday. Anyways, it was one of those days. It might have even been Friday. We were there the Friday before the tournament, and we were playing right behind Albert Tom, and I think it was Linus Carlson. There was a couple other guys there, but they were all kind of the Europeans there. And we watched Albert Tom tee off, and all of them were like parking the basket.
Yeah.
And we're just like, all right, we'll play the layup, full driver, flex, And so he goes to walk to the next one. So the way that works is you kind of walk in front of a pond and then walk right next to the property line to where the tee pad is for the next hole.
Yeah.
And it's right next to water and property line on one side, and there's these brick fences.
Yeah.
And there was a crack in a brick fence, and there was a huge beehive there. Didn't know that's what it was, but all we saw, and you think this like monstrous dude threw his bag, had his hat, like flinging it around, and all we can see is over the pond because we're sitting on 7's tee pad.
Yeah.
Right? 7.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah, 7's tee pad, the Garrett Gerthy ace hole. We're sitting on that tee pad, watching him and just disappear down the hill, like running like crazy and throwing stuff like it was a yard sale.
Oh my God.
And we're like, what is going on? And I was like, dude, it looks like he's being attacked by bees. And that's one of those crazy things. You see anybody being attacked by bees from far away and you don't know what's happening. It's like, dude's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, why is he running around like that? Right. But he just takes off running. So I don't know if he got hit by a bunch of them or not. But so we go through, and then all of a sudden we finish out 7.
Yeah.
And we look over to go towards the next hole, and we see the guys guys skipped us.
Yeah.
And they went to go up there because no one was playing that hole. And they come running back, like freaking out. And I look over, and there's a guy on a golf cart with a bee suit smoking him out. And all of them went past that dude, like thinking it would be just completely fine. There's a guy in a bee suit smoking these bees out before the tournament. This was a week before the tournament. So no fault to LVC or anything, or like Jacquard or Jacquard. So we're standing, so we skip 7, or we skip 8, and we go down to 9's tee pad. And so we're down on 9 and Innova, and there is this one bee that is flying around. It was kind of messing with Jordan, and then who were we playing with at that time? I don't remember who we were playing with, but it was messing with someone else. Oh, this was Sarah Gilpin and Andrew Gilpin. So Sarah Gilpin's up on the tee pad, and this thing lands on my eyelid. And I was able to like swipe him off real quick. And then it like hits my cheek and lands on my cheek, and I swipe him off again. And then like he's going at me, and Jordan's like, "Oh my God, dude, that thing won't leave you alone." So I'm like running around trying to get this bee off me, and finally it lands on my arm, and I'm like, I'm just gonna let it sting me. It hits me, like it stings me, and I just hit it with one of my discs that I had in my hand. And then Sarah's like standing on the tee pad, like looking at me, and I'm like, "Sorry," and she's like, "No, don't worry, it's no big deal. It just couldn't believe that bee, you know." And so crazy bees. And from what I was told, story goes now, I have no clue. I'm not like what do they call those guys that do insects? Anyways,
I'm not really sure.
I'm sure someone's screaming into their radio right now. I don't know. Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name. But anyways, I was told that they were Africanized.
Oh,
So super, your mic is drooping. That's crazy.
we need to tighten that thing up.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
I guess they're Africanized bees, which I was like, well, what does that mean? And the guy continues to explain to me that they're super aggressive. Like you mess with them, like they're on you forever.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Andrew Gilpin, and Andrew and Sarah are pretty like outdoorsy, wildernessy people. And Andrew was like, yeah, from what I understand, you can't even jump in the water.
It'll just
Because they'll just wait for you. They'll like hold on, and they wait for you to come out, and they just start going at you again.
Wow.
And I was like, no way, really?
because I know there are some bees that will travel like at least a mile from their hive to like chase you down. I think, or something like that.
Yeah. And the distance between these two things was crazy. I mean, it was at least a football field away from their hive.
Wow.
And that's where that thing popped me. Like,
Yeah.
and it was one single bee. Like, the thing was crazy. Like, it was relentless. That's my bee story, and watching Albert Tom run through. So, and then, through that, we got to play with Andrew and Sarah Gilpin, and I had played with them one other time at Silver Creek up here in Manitowoc.
And she caddied for Drew final round.
Did she?
I think so.
Okay, because I know Andrew caddies for Nate Sexton quite often, and I think he did this year too.
Yeah.
But yeah, super awesome people, like super down to earth. And I had played with him one other time, and just Andrew is hilarious. Like, he's so funny. Like, we're just sitting there chatting. He'll say something, and you could just see Sarah's like, God, he's such a dweeb. Like, so funny. So one of the other things, so we got to play, so kind of side by side with Tatar and Tam, and Silver Lat. And so I got to kind of talk about that. Got to meet our buddy, or talk with our buddy Casey White again.
Yeah.
He was teeing off with actually Adam Hammis, Vinny Polidori, and Casey White, and they were all around that same card. And we came walking up to see Vinny, and then Jordan's like, "Hey, that's Casey." And then Casey turns over and like, "Dude," comes over and like gives us a high five. So, and he will be on the podcast. We just got to line up the time.
Nice.
I did verify that.
Okay.
But awesome to see him do. He didn't do as well as I was hoping he would do, but
26th I think is where he fell.
Yeah, like he fell pretty far back, and then he had a pretty hot round that got him back up into kind of the mix. So, and then we got to play with Martin and Sandy Hendel. So you might know Martin Hendel. He was on lead card at USDGC.
I was say that name sounds familiar.
Yeah. So we were practicing, and he was practicing with Sarah, who is age protected. So he happened to be on the same course, and I kept looking at him, and I was like, because they were right in front of us, and they were a group of three, and it was just Jordan and I playing. So we kept catching up to him on every tee pad, and I was like looking at Jordan like, I know that guy. Where is he? So I finally, I'm not bashful, so I just finally walked up to him and was like, how do I know you? Like, your face is super recognizable. And he goes, well, I was on lead card at USDG. I was like, that's what it was. So super awesome guy, really unassuming. I think he technically could be a baby master. So he's 39, going to be 40 this year. And as I was playing with him, he can bomb.
Yeah.
And his putt is nails. Like, it is, at least when I played with him, it is so good. But we ended up joining up with him for like the last 4 holes.
Oh, nice.
And so the hole on Infinite where it's after the real short dinker hole down the middle, like you play, it's a little par 3. It's like 170 some feet, like this little tight tunnel, and the basket's sitting on like this rock.
Oh, okay.
It's not rock. It's like this, like rock garden. So there's concentric circles.
Yeah.
So the next hole where you have to throw over the green,
Yeah.
and they move the pin to the left side of the green. So it's like a 530-foot par 3. It's a super long par 3 guarded by a green.
Yeah.
He parks it. Like just pure hyzer the entire way. And parks, when I say parked on a 530-foot hole, he was probably 25 feet, 30 feet away. And I'm just like, whoa. And maybe back in the day, I could have got to the center of the green. But, I'm still pumping everything I can just to get to a landing zone that I can get a nice little upshot to. Like, just awesome. But super kind people in from Canada. Haven't been here for a couple years because of COVID. They did Emporia last year. They were here for, not couple, I'm sorry, it's brother and sister. Did I say couple?
You might have.
If I said couple, it's not true. They're not a couple. They're a brother and a sister.
That's how they do things in Canada.
Yeah, exactly.
Canada's much like Alabama.
Yeah, exactly.
I shouldn't say that.
Yeah. We just, thanks you. We just lost 4 of our 7 subscribers. So, but really nice. So I had a ton of fun. And I would assume, I'm going to speak for Jordan, I'm assuming he had a ton of fun. It is by far one of our favorite tournaments we go to. And every year, Jeff, like, knocks it out of the park. Like, with what they do, how much they bring in. The AM player packs are phenomenal. And the way they treat pros are phenomenal. And this is my first year experience it as a pro. Mm-hmm. And I just, like, I can't say enough about that tournament. The courses are very straightforward. The courses are not difficult. The courses push you to throw as hard as you can and push your limits. And even for the pros, they push you to throw as hard as you can, and that's where you make your mistakes. Because it's reachable for them. And for us, we're just hoping we can shave off strokes by getting a good drive. So, for pros, they're pushing their limits as far as throwing as hard as they can, getting the full flight out of the disc to park holes to give themselves a shot. And for us AMs, we're just trying to throw as hard as we can so we can get there to give ourselves a birdie opportunity. But as far as like technicality of the courses, there's not much. It's just throw straight, throw far, stay in bounds. That's what it is. So, but it's fun. Yeah. It's super fun. So, I think that's my big thing, or my big recap of the tournament. But I had an awesome time. Loved watching it. So, do we want to go over real quickly the outcome?
Sure.
So, we'll go MPO first, and then I'll switch it over to FPO.
Okay.
All right. MPO. We'll start with. We'll go from 10.
Okay.
So, we got a couple people tied at 10. Luke Sampson with a 10 under final round and sits at 31 under. Thomas Gilbert, fire round, 13 under, final round, came up to 31 under, and he came up 14 spots. Right? Is that what it says? 16 spots. Jeepers creepers.
Yeah.
Ricky Wysocki with a lackluster performance.
I picked him to win.
I think I did too. A slightly lackluster performance compared to what it was, but the harp was on fire.
Yeah.
And there was strokes of brilliance, and I think he just needs to get used to throwing daggers again. Mm-hmm. Because you saw the putt out there, but, he's still trying to putt AVRs. He's still trying to putt whales. Like, I think once he gets his stroke back for the dagger, it's going to be phenomenal. But he finished at 32 under, a 7 under round. Scott Withers, kind of a first time going pro tour or full tour. Mm-hmm. We had met him the very first year we played LVC. Super down to earth, super awesome guy. But an 8 under and a 32 under on the total. Then we get to Adam Hammis. 32 under, a 12 under round, hot. I mean, a lot of blue. He started out, what is that, 3, 6, 9 birdies in a row.
Yeah, front 9, whole front 9.
Yeah, and then a bogey, 2 more birdies, par, birdie, and then basically 1 more birdie through the round. I mean, just a phenomenal round. So 12 under.
He didn't start out too hot in the beginning of the tournament.
No.
But he came on.
Yeah. Tristan Tanner, and always one of the most pure and effortless backhand and forehand throwers out there.
Yeah, like honestly, I forgot what hole it was, but watching final round coverage, he threw this forehand, and I was just like, it was hyzer the whole way, 420 some feet, and I was just like, that's one of the smoothest forehands out there.
Right, and like a 2-step run up.
Yeah,
Nice and easy throw.
Yeah,
doesn't grunt, doesn't like just pure player. Like he is so good. But so a 9 under final round at 34 under for the tournament. And then KJ USA came back. Well, no, I guess he was basically in it. He never slipped too far.
No, not
but
too far.
All blue, 13 under. All he missed was what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 holes.
Yeah, and pars.
Yeah,
not bogey for you.
Right. Yeah. So he didn't get the eagles like a couple folks did, like on 7. So he basically played a flawless round, no bogeys. So 13 under 35 on the tournament. And then we'll get into our top 4. So Luke Humphreys, well, I guess KJ is in that.
Yeah.
Luke Humphreys, fire round again with 13 under, and he did get the eagle. So he dropped one of the birdies that KJ got for 35 under. And then Heimberg, so he had a pretty nasty, second round? Or was it third round he didn't play well?
Third round, I think. He didn't play too well.
Yeah, he didn't have a great round. One of the rounds dropped and then just absolutely lit it up.
Yeah.
The last day with the 13 under, tied for a hot round, and finished 16 under. And then we all know the story between Gannon Burr and Drew Gibson. Finished at 39 under, tied for the lead, 3 strokes above second place. So they were tied for first. And they went to a 4-hole playoff, and Gannon Burr lost it by a OB stroke and a miss putt, basically. Well, a hazard stroke and a miss putt. And Drew Gibson played putter on the hole, and Gannon played driver, sand, putter.
Yeah.
So Drew Gibson wins the Las Vegas Challenge.
Yeah. Gannon had a really impressive shot. So I think it was the 3rd playoff hole. He ended up hitting early on he hit a branch.
Yes.
And then he was back really far. Like, I don't remember how far it was. And he absolutely crushes his approach shot and ends up getting birdie.
And I think it was an M3 or an M2.
Yeah.
So it was a mid-range.
Yeah.
And it was like a 420-foot mid-range.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Forehand, stand up, went straight, finished. Or no, maybe that might have been the
distortion.
The distortion.
Maybe,
but,
I don't know.
Man, I think maybe it was like an M3 or
yeah,
M2.
It was crazy.
But a mid-range. Let's just say that. And
right.
Parks it.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I will say this too about Gamber. On the 18th hole, his drive was super lucky.
Yes.
He skipped off the rocks back onto the fairway. He should have. And he was like, I think probably like 30 feet behind Drew. Like Drew had an absolute smash.
Yes.
And he felt like he needed to get up to where Drew was. And he got so lucky.
Well, so that it's deceiving though. So that there is a playable cart path.
Right.
That's lined with rocks. And I know Gannon hit before that.
I thought he hit the rocks.
On the pond. Yeah, but those rocks are in bounds.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're actually cemented into the side of the sidewalks to stop. Because golf carts, like actual golf carts, will go over that golf cart to play the fairway that they run up. So, but yes, it was close. It wasn't a perfect shot. Like he played it really soft for his power. He played it really soft because if I put a full throw, I could land where he landed.
Okay.
So he played it soft.
Yeah.
And I think I think they played it smart because that's the largest area to land, because you push it even further and the carry of the water is about 400 feet and your landing zone, it's like 450, and and all these guys have the power to do it, but the landing zone is only like 30 feet wide.
Right.
30, maybe 40 feet wide.
Up until you get to that flatter basin area.
Well, actually, until it turns up towards the green.
Okay.
Other than that, it's only about 30 or 40 feet wide. It is not wide. I mean, that is a narrow landing zone. So when you come back and you play where Gannon skipped off, like basically that's a continuation of the fairway.
Right.
So even if you land shy, you're going to be safe. Or if you land you're safe. On the cart path, you're safe. So,
because I saw Missy Gannon too. I think she played something out wide and it ended up either getting a skip off the cart path or like landed on the cart.
Yeah. Like 2 years ago, I ended up landing on those rocks, or 3 years ago, I ended up landing on those rocks. So I had super awkward footing and all that stuff, but it was in bounds. It doesn't play as a river. It's in bounds. And it sucks to throw from, but it's playable.
Yeah.
So congratulations to Drew. I immediately became more of a Drew fan than I had been when I listened to his post-round interview.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it was right there with Terry.
Yeah.
Like, it was phenomenal.
It was.
He said everything he was supposed to say, responded exactly how he was supposed to respond. Gave credit to Gannon, didn't idolize himself, like gave credit where credit was due. Like, he didn't play the whole, I'm the best, this is how it was supposed to be. No, like, this was a hard-fought battle. We went back and forth. I just happened to prevail. Not like I was so much better, I knew I had it in the bag.
Right.
I felt like that was his mantra prior. But like, maybe it's a maturing factor. Maybe it was just he had that much respect for Gannon Burr.
Yeah, I
and
think so.
The embrace they had and the genuine nature of it was super awesome. Like, I was super, super impressed with him. So Drew Gibson is climbing my favorite people's list. And obviously Gannon Burr is too.
Yeah.
So, and we'll talk about Gannon Burr. He was a guy that everybody, I think, probably assumed that he was a fluke or a one-stroke wonder. Like, I mean, he showed up late in the year. He was on lead card. He kind of had these little flashes where you saw him. And I think everybody was just kind of like, okay, it's just one of those kids that's going to show up and then disappear. I think he's the real deal.
Yeah, I think he is too. I think he put in a lot of work. Like, he knew that being rookie of the year like meant something, and he's like, I got to follow this up. And I think he probably put in a lot of work this offseason. Like, his putting was out of this world, except for maybe a couple holes that he got unlucky on. But his stroke is really good.
He is a confident putter.
Yeah.
Confident putter. Hot take maybe, but I think he might be one of the best putters. Not young best, but just one of the best putters out there. I mean, if not the best putter. Like,
Wade Drew was putting too.
Yeah, I guess. I guess, yeah, because Drew was nails too. Because Drew, I don't know who said it, so I can't give credit. Oh, I think Ian said it, where his liability is now his strength. Oh, so what used to be his liability is now something that won him the tournament.
Yeah, and you saw that at the championship. Like, he started that.
He started to light it up then.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's a courage thing. I don't know if it's a confidence thing. I don't know if
he has a lot of confidence in the Penrose, for sure.
And that's the funny part about that. So Drew was not known for his putting game. And Penrose or EV7 picked him up.
Yeah.
And they're a putter only company. Like, do they have a crystal ball? It's incredible.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
All right, so I'll let you go through FPO.
Yep.
So let me switch it over here. All right. So, I guess do the same thing. We'll go through the top 10. Well, I guess 9.
Yeah. So 9, we have Cat Merch, minus 12. Tied with Jen Allen at minus 12. Holland Hanley at, wait, what? Minus 14. That can't be. Oh yeah, never mind.
That's right.
Okay,
We're
that's
going
right.
there, right?
I was like,
Remember golf?
Never golf stops. So yeah, I'm like, oh, I'm counting up. Weird. Yeah, but I'm counting up. Blonde moment, but I'm not blonde. Missy Gannon, 7th with -16. Ella Hansen, who I think is going to have a pretty decent year. This is a good start for her.
Well, her rookie season was last year.
Yeah. Evelina, -19 at 5. And then top 4 is Haley King, 22 down. Kristen Tatar, 25 down. Paige in second with -29. And Kat taking it down with -30.
Mm-hmm. And Kat's putter, other than the second round,
Yeah.
was nails again.
Yeah. She putted well.
And that's, I mean, I think we had said that. Like, her liability is her putt.
Yeah.
And I had given when we did our grades for recruiting, or for, the team, that was my bag on DGA.
Right.
They lost one of the best putters in the world and gained somebody that could or could not be. And that's why I put him, I think, in the C range or C plus range.
Yeah.
But man, she's proven me wrong. Like, those steady eds are
She got, like no problem switching over.
Zero.
Yeah.
I think it honestly helped her. Like, I don't know what it was about her prodigy putters. I don't know what she putted with, but like, she just had you don't see that type of confidence out of Katrina,
Right.
normally, but she was just. So I will have to say that when we were out there Friday night or Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, every time she was out there just putting in work.
Yeah.
Like, we would go out early because, well, we're from here. We had a 2-hour advantage because we were up that early. She was always there grinding, always there putting in the time, the putts, the throws. I mean, she was always there.
Yeah.
Like, and there before anybody else, because we were one of the first people there. And she was there already putting. And I mean, she puts in work. Like,
Yeah. And she she likes to get to bed early. She does her workouts in the evening and gets to bed early.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it shows. I mean, it paid off in this regard. And, but yeah, and then Paige Pierce. So she had a pretty rough first round. No.
Second round, because the third round she came back and tied Katrina.
Yes.
And then it was pretty neck and neck for the final round.
And went back and forth. And then Katrina actually ended up winning it on the 18th hole. So, because she gave it away on the 15th hole, and then on the 18th hole, she got it back. So, but congratulations, Katrina. I haven't finished watching the coverage, but I know that when we were out playing, so I made the cut on Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I was out playing, we were just making the turn,
Okay.
which is we're up by the clubhouse when we make the turn, and to do the last 4 holes. And that was when they finished, and we heard just something go nuts, and we're like, oh, someone must have aced. And then I'm like, wait, no, maybe FPO is finishing at this point.
Oh, sure.
So when Katrina hit that, I mean, the whole place went nuts. Like, it was crazy.
That's
It was
cool.
awesome. So, all right. So that's our recap of LVC. Probably a lot more information than you wanted to know. But you got it. So, Jomez, let's talk about them real quick.
Yeah.
$500K for 2 years for lead card coverage.
That information came out the day after we had recorded. Like, it was
Yes, it
that
did.
Thursday after they recorded, like, all night, which was crazy. That's a lot of money, but they're going to get it back so easily.
Easily.
Yeah.
Have you looked at their Patreon? So after they do Jomez videos, have you watched? Because they publicize. At the
Everybody
very
that's in
end,
the Founders Club.
Everybody that's in the Founders
Yeah.
Club. Have you, like, even just taken a quick glimpse at each of those and how much it is?
Like, the top person on, like, the all the way to the left is like $60 some or something, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's some ridiculous amount that that's crazy.
And there's probably at least 100 that are over $50
It could
a month.
be. Yeah.
And then in the middle row, because it kind of goes down rows.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the fewest people they have is the $5 range. I mean, so vaguely I'm looking at it, thinking that they're probably in that $20,000 to $30,000 a month just for Patreon.
Right. Not to mention the views they get from YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous.
And the checks they get from YouTube. So for the comparison, when Simon Lizotte hit 100,000. When he was about 120, he went, I don't remember what interview it was or whether it was on his channel. He was kind of explaining about how much money he makes. And
is it like 10 cents a video?
Yeah.
Or 10 cents a view or something?
Because he said when he was around 70,000, he was making about a $20,000 check a month.
Holy, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. And I'm just like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that is amazing. So I'm assuming they're making another $25,000 to $30,000 a month through their. That's awesome. I mean, it's awesome. And having this lead card coverage and being able to put it onto Jomez, right? They're able to put it on Jomez.
Yeah.
I would assume.
Well, they have, so they don't get, first day, they don't get lead card coverage. That's exclusive to Disc Golf Network. They get, they have a feature card.
Right.
Right. So they're not able to get that.
Well, because technically it's not a lead card.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, but the rest of the way they have lead card.
And they air it on theirs. It's post-produced. And so they will make that money back very quickly, if not more. And knowing the concurrent viewers live, usually you can expect that it's going to be about, 3 to 5 times more the viewers by the end of the year. So great move.
Yeah.
Awesome move. And they have the money to do it.
It makes me wonder, like, the 500,000, it makes you wonder if somebody else wasn't like pushing them, like GK or Gatekeeper, someone like, okay, we can put up this much. And they're like, well, if there was a battle there,
but who has that money though?
I don't know.
Like Central Coast, GK, Gatekeeper. I mean, I would say maybe the next one is Gatekeeper. Probably the next most popular.
Maybe.
I mean, I don't think they. I mean, who knows?
Because
who knows who has deep pockets where they get their money from? But that's crazy. I mean, it's still. But I think it's a smart move, and for them to solidify.
But I don't think it would be GK because they're going for FPO,
right?
So I mean, it would have to come down to Gatekeeper. I would think.
I would think so. And outside of that, there's really nobody else. I mean, there's like Fulcrum and things like that, or Ace Run Productions. But wasn't Ace Run the Disc Golf Pro Tour team?
Oh, yeah, maybe.
I think that's who it was. So I don't even know if that exists anymore. But
I think
I have no clue. Yeah. But they had like 16 cameras out there.
That's crazy.
Awesome. Plus the drone. That's fantastic. So, so Jomez, good job. Way to push the envelope there. And then I would assume that this will continue. I'm assuming that the next payment to the Disc Golf Pro Tour. So let's make this clear. They paid $500,000 to have the lead card for 2 years in Disc Golf Pro Tour. And I would assume after these 2 years, that number's going to be higher.
I would think so.
I bet you it's going to be in that $700,000 to $800,000 range. So my mind
maybe
is saying
longer,
$750,000.
maybe a longer term deal.
Potentially.
Yeah,
potentially. Yeah, depending on how they do, how it turns out. And I think it would behoove Jomez to try to get that longer deal too.
Yeah.
So
but it's funny because there's some minor graphical things that they showed during the coverage this year. Obviously, like they have the slick intros and everything, but even like like when they would raise the camera up over the hole and like show the flight path over the hole and everything, and then they marked out of bounds by like certain colors and stuff like that.
That was awesome.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, we saw them. We're in one of the coverages. We didn't do any of the funny dancing or anything like that, but hole 2 on Infinite.
Okay.
You can see Jordan and I standing back there. I'm doing the Captain Morgan on my thing. It wasn't purposeful. I was just happened to be had my foot up on the wheel. So let's see. GK Pro, 1 year FPO lead. No numbers were discussed on that we could find. And then Gatekeeper MPO chase card for 2 years.
Yeah.
And no numbers on that as well.
Yeah,
so we're locked in. So we know what our coverage is going to come, at least for the rest of this year, for the foreseeable future. And then GK Pro, who knows if they're going to extend for the lead card, but I would assume with concurrent viewers that they have now that they will probably end up re-upping or trying to re-up.
Right.
So I'd like to see those numbers if it ever came out. So well, that's all the regular scheduled stuff we got. Anything else?
Did we get a question of the week?
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
No question of the week.
Bummer.
Darn it. I didn't even think about that. So maybe if we do the 15-minute episode, I'll text Jordan real quick and see
Yep.
if he can give us a question of the week. All right, so shop updates. So there's a couple things. We got the Falcors. Oh, wait, I never talked about Kale LaVisca.
Oh,
So-
so R.I.P.
Yeah,
Dang. Oh no,
Yeah.
no, Kale didn't die. Kale didn't die, but
No.
his cash streak did.
yeah, 13 years.
307 events.
Right. So I was on the phone with our rep, Donnie Ferguson.
Yeah.
And I was BSing with him, and I was like, yeah, I saw, and I'll get into this story next, but, and I was like, how horrible is it? I was like, I saw him there, and then it didn't occur to me until I walked out of the shop that, wait, he's not playing right now.
Right.
And wasn't he the leader for the most consecutive cash?
Yeah. He
Lines?
missed by one stroke. One stroke.
I feel so bad for him. 13 years.
Yeah.
13 years. It's just incredible to me. Like, 13 years. I mean, most of the people in disc golf didn't even know disc golf existed for that long.
Yeah.
And he's been cashing that long. Like, incredible. So,
Yeah. I think
sorry for, Kale, but congratulations to Nate, right?
yeah, because he's in the highest by
Yeah.
a large margin right now.
Yep, by a huge margin. So I love Kale's response to it, though. He says, now it's time to start a new one.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's
like,
yeah.
you lose something like that. But so my story with Kale LaVisca, we walked into Lucky Disc Golf. By the way, I don't usually push other shops, especially in the shop updates.
Yeah.
But Lucky Disc Golf, awesome group of guys. So if you're ever in that area, swing by. I mean, some of the funniest, nicest, and the worst 70s porn mustache I've ever seen on a person. Hopefully, if he listens to this, he'll laugh. So he used to have this nice big beard, and he shaved his head and now has this like 70s porn
Oh,
mustache.
wow.
It is so bad. It is so bad. And he knows it's bad.
Yeah.
But I think that's part
Part
of the
of it,
gimmick. Yeah.
sure.
So anyways, so we walk in and I'm looking for one of those infinite pockets for the cart, and I'm like, because I see they have the XLs there, or the XXLs there, the big ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you have any of the small ones? He's like, no. And then I look over and I see this dude bent over, like pulling discs out of a box. And I was like, hey, that's Kale. And I was like, hey, Kale, what's going on? And I walk up to him. He had no clue who I was.
Yeah.
Like, not a clue in the world. And I'd only met him once or twice prior to that. Like, he comes and plays Rolling Ridge every once in a while. I met him at Rolling Ridge once, and then I met him at LVC last year. So he had no clue who I am, but it was just one of those, like, all right, I'm going to act like I'm important. So I just walked up. I was like, hey, Kale. I introduced myself, Shane. I'm up in Door County, Wisconsin. Like, dude, I visit there all the time. And he was like, I noticed they had a shop. And I was like, yeah, that's our shop, because Jordan was standing there. Oh, really? That's great. Next time I'm up there, I'm going to make sure to swing by.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Which would be really awesome. But I had a really good conversation with him. But all the discs there were the Falcors. So, and I was like, ooh, can we get, no, they're just for our VIP members. So 70s Porn Mustache didn't allow us to buy any. But the Falcors, beautiful discs. So
Yeah.
I think it's a 13.
High speed driver.
Yeah. It's a 12 or a 13 speed. And I want to say it's a 4 or 5 glide neg 1 3. So beef-ish, but
Yeah.
can still shape some shots.
Okay.
Didn't get to throw it, but it has a great flex plastic. It is not a Prodigy plastic.
I thought it was produced by Prodigy.
So here it is.
Oh.
Kale LaVisca actually owns the molds and the discs. They
Oh.
just mold them for him.
Yeah.
So I was chatting with him, and I go, this doesn't feel like Prodigy plastic. Who is it being molded by? And he goes, it's Prodigy, but I own the molds. I selected the plastic. I did all of that stuff.
Oh,
like,
dang.
This is my disc. He
Cool.
goes, it doesn't matter where I go. These are mine forever.
Okay.
I'm like, that is awesome.
That is
That is
awesome.
such a great move. And so, but he's having Prodigy mold them.
Yeah.
So with that, shop updates, we have Falcors coming in. We also have the X5s coming in. We carry some of the understable drivers just for the crews that we have around here. It's a lot of beginner players. So, and then also we are going to have about 100 Disc Golf Answer Man discs. So the stamped discs. So we are actually going to start selling them for Bobby. So we will have all the Disc Golf Answer Man branded stuff in our shop and online.
Oh,
so
cool.
You can pick all that stuff up. So, and that presently it's all Trilogy stuff. But in the future, we'll probably pick up some other stuff. We might go over to Discraft. We might do some other things, and that's what he's interested in doing. So, in the meantime, that's what we will end up doing, and then we will push a certain percentage. So these are his tour series discs, essentially. So we'll push some money back to him. So that's our shop update. You can find that stuff at www.doordisc.com, DOORDISC.com, or doordiscgolf.com. And then you can find us on Instagram at door_disc_golf, and on Facebook at Door Disc Golf Store, and TikTok now at Door Disc. Where can they find you, JP?
Number 1 night.owl on Instagram.
Yeah. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, do all the fun stuff that you need to do. Leave comments if you can. Leave ratings if you can. The more you do, the more exposure we get, and the better off we can do. And hopefully, pretty soon here, we'll be doing the giveaway.
Yeah, we're inching closer and closer. So hopefully.
So little by little, it's coming along, and we're starting to figure out our analytics a little bit. So we're actually getting a lot more plays than I thought we were getting with the discovery you made with Apple.
Yeah.
So Anchor is a bit deceiving with how we do things, or with the analytics they have, but it looks like we're doing pretty good. So rate, review us, jump online, especially on Apple, because then we can see them and we can kind of count them. But leave us a review, and next week, we'll mention you on the podcast. If you leave us a review, we'll pick one of them, and we'll read it on podcast and give you a shout out.
Cool.
Sounds good? Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Have a good day. Keep us up par. Peace.